Hi, Nine. Welcome back to online learning. So today we're actually starting a new topic, and it's the Pythagoras theorem and surds. So we're going to kick it off with finding the hypotenuse. So here in this box, I've got what actually Pythagoras' theorem is. So it's defined as c squared equals a squared plus b squared. Now, using our triangle, c is the hypotenuse, and that is always the longest side that's directly opposite the right angle. So here we've just labelled A and B. They're the other sides on our triangle. It doesn't matter which order we write it. So B could be this side and A could be this side. It doesn't really matter. Now, if we've got c squared equals a squared plus b squared, c is defined as the length of the hypotenuse. So to go from c squared to c, we take the square root of both sides, and we're left with c equals the square root of a squared plus b squared. Now, these don't cancel each other out, okay? They don't do that. It just stays as the square root of a squared plus b squared. Now, Pythagoras' theorem only works for right-angled triangles. So example 1, write Pythagoras' theorem for the triangle below. So here we've got our triangle. So it's q squared equals x squared plus m squared. And it could also be q squared equals m squared plus x squared. Okay, it doesn't matter which order it is. Question 2, find the value of c. So as you can see, c is our hypotenuse, okay? It's the one that's opposite the right angle. So obviously we'll use Pythagoras' theorem, where we've got c squared equals the other two sides squared. So 9 squared plus 40 squared. Now, having a look, if we put that into our calculator, we get 1,681. So we've got c squared equals 1,681, but we don't want c squared, we want just c. So that will give us the length of that hypotenuse. So we take the square root of both sides. Remember, by doing that, they cancel out, okay? But they definitely do not cancel each other out here and here, okay? Otherwise, we'd have c equals a plus b, which isn't the case. Now, putting this into your calculator, you get 41, okay? The reason why we get a whole number is because this is a square number. Now, one thing I did teach you is when we do take the square root of a number, we have to do plus and minus. So here we've got, I haven't written the plus or the minus, and the reason for that is because if we did have plus or minus, obviously the length of that hypotenuse can't be a negative answer because we can't have negative length, so it's automatically the positive version. Okay, so we get the length is equal to 41 centimetres. Question 3, find the length of the cable supporting the flagpole, part A as a surd and part B as a decimal to 1 decimal place. So that's correct, to 1 decimal place. So here we've got the flagpole, it's 12 metres high. The cable reaches out 4 metres to the ground and creates a right angle with the ground. So starting it off, we've got c squared equals a squared plus b squared. We've got 12 squared plus 4 squared equals 160, but because we want c, we take the square root. Now, if you put the square root of 160 into your calculator, you get a very long decimal. And the reason for that is because we define it as a surd. So in surd form, literally means you just leave it with the square root symbol over the top of the number. So this, the square root of 160, is in surd form. It's more exact to leave this answer as a surd because of 160 not being a square number, and that means that you get a really long decimal, okay? We always prefer exact answers, so we write it as a surd. Obviously, to write it as a decimal, all we need to do is just literally put the square root of 160 into your calculator, and you get this long decimal, okay? And then we want to 1 decimal place, so we round it to 12.6. Now, it's really important whenever you're writing anything with these triangles that you write out a few numbers of the decimal first and then round. Please don't go straight from that to the rounded answer, because in a test condition, if you round incorrectly, you're going to lose a mark. Whereas if you keep the whole number, you're better off getting a mark than no mark. All right, last one. Question says, in triangle PQR, angle P, so that means angle, is equal to 90 degrees. PQ, so that represents the side that goes from P to Q, equals 25 centimeters, and PR equals 32 centimeters. Sketch the triangle and find the length of the hypotenuse P correct to 1 decimal place. So here we've got triangle PQR. So with our triangle, because we know that angle P is 90 degrees, that's the one that's going to be the right angle. So angle P is 90 degrees. Because it's triangle PQR, we want to be able to sketch it in the way that it says PQR, all right? I could have put Q up here as well, doesn't matter, just as long as it's in the order P, Q, and R, okay? So we've got PQ equals 25 centimeters. That's this side here, PQ, 25 centimeters, and PR, that's this side, equals 32. Now, this is labelled little p because it says that is the hypotenuse, okay? But it's always generally labelled, like we could label this side RQ or little p, okay? Because it's opposite the angle P. Like this one, that length there, PQ, could also be labelled little r because it's opposite the R angle. Same with this one, this side instead of PR or RP could be labelled little q, okay? Summing it all into Pythagoras' theorem, 25 squared plus 35 squared gets you down to 1,649. So P equals the square root of that. Put it into your calculator, you get this long decimal, and then we want to round it to 1 decimal place. And that is all. Good luck with your homework.